around. Welcome to the streets of Long Beach. Make some noise for the Gym Nation. This is a year to watch. Probably the most talented in the world.
He's exploding towards his first outside zone.
Ooh.
Perfect.
Yo, Ryan Hurst wants it. Three lights are on. That third out is go. Send it. Here we go. Look at this. Whoa, James Dean explodes that back bumper. Oh boy. Tangled up. Oh no. Castro, big hit.
That was a fun one.
That was going to be a banger for us.
Wow, this is an absolute gladiator battle right here. Yes! Good job, team. Matt Field spins and goes into the wall. Your winner, Matt Field! You pay for the whole seat, but you're only going to use the edge. That's a hard act to follow. Wow.
Hello, Long Beach. How we doing out there? Super Drift is back in the city of Long Beach. One quick business note before we get started here. We've been asked to make sure that all the aisleways are absolutely clear. We will not be able to get competition started if there are people in the aisleways, so please help us out with that. Clear on out, find a seat, put your butt somewhere and have a good time. We're gonna jump right into this, right out of the gate, and introduce you to our 8 drivers who are competing in tonight's competition and also tomorrow night's competition. Starting over by Grandstand 16. He is one of the most powerful up-and-coming and prominent drivers in the series. Put your hands together for Rome Charpentier. When he's not doing a million things like spotting for his buddy, driving in Pro Spec, he's out here competing in Super Drift, trying to lay it down with his friends. Give it up for Kohl. And as you can tell by the cars, his buddy is right there next to him. That's the guy he's been spotting for. Daniel Stuke is the one that's trying to do battle here tonight in Long Beach. This next driver is one of the best talents we've seen. Super aggressive. You are in for a treat tonight. This is Jonathan Hurst. Former Pro Spec champion, made his way up into the pro class. A very decorated athlete across all motorsports. Make some noise for Robert Thorne. Everybody will know this guy. This is the hometown hero from Long Beach, Kyle Mohan. A man that needs no introduction. He's won this event before. He's always a fan favorite. Coming from Las Vegas, Forrest Wang. And finally, a brand new driver. He's going to have his car out there. He's in Pro Spec this year, making his way into Super Drift for the first time, Connor O'Sullivan. Let's get our drivers to the grid and get underway, but please help us clear those aisleways. I am Ryan Sage, your host. I am alongside one of the most experienced drivers that had a tremendous performance last weekend here. He's acting as a judge and a commentator, Ken Gucci. Ken Gucci in the booth, how are you?
Good, Ryan, how are you? It's actually been a while since I've been up here as a judge and a commentator. I've done a few Formula Drift Japan rounds as both a judge and a commentator, but you're right, we were here just last weekend, and I am just glad to see that the weather cleared up for these guys because we had some wet conditions, and this track here at Long Beach probably has to be one of the most difficult and challenging tracks in the wet. So
yeah, I think last time we actually did one of these together in Japan a number of years ago. I can remember having a great experience with you because you have such a deep education of the sport. Last year or last weekend we got to see not just dry drifting, but as you mentioned, the rain. And I think one of the most important things for fans to kind of understand is take us through what it's like to drive on this track in both conditions, and what do you need to do to prepare the vehicle to be successful?
For sure. I mean, here at Formula Drift Long Beach, the track is actually very inconsistent. The conditions actually change, I would say, every lap. So you're trying to chase your setup, your suspension, tires, just to find that optimal setup. And now if you add in rain, I mean, everything you've been doing up until that point is
Right there, right? Like where the surface changes from regular asphalt to the street concrete, like that's got to be super difficult.
Absolutely, because ultimately, at the end of the day, this is a parking lot. You know, this doesn't see much driving time throughout the year, and so there's a lot of dust, debris, oil, and those elements definitely make it challenging for us drivers. Like if you see the screen right here in the wet, I mean, the speeds are dramatically reduced.
Yeah.
And it looks like, you know, it's easy to drive in the rain, but this track, the conditions change so much in the wet that you're just pretty much, you know, praying that you don't spin out or...
How much of a drop in speed were you guys experiencing relative to dry conditions?
I mean, if I was driving the whole course in fourth gear, I wasn't even touching that shift lever to go into fourth. I was just in third gear the whole way from start to finish. And I mean, dropping tire pressures, you know, opening up the shocks, just making it so that the cars are able to make it through the track without...
No rear sway, I would imagine, right?
No rear sway.
Yeah. Well, you got to see what we dealt with last week. It was very crazy. It was awesome until it got wet. We are having dry conditions here tonight. James Dean was our winner in round one of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. But Super Drift is a special event for those that are joining online and also here. This is an event that mimics the event we had last weekend, except for it is a specialty event. 2 grade 8 competitions on back-to-back nights here under the lights. This is a one-of-one competition that not just the Grand Prix, but the city of Long Beach and so many other people have supported to make this happen, to allow drifting to happen on this section of the course. And it's been so beautiful. Take us through, Ken, the course overall, the decel areas, and just in general, like your preparation, first, second, third, initiation. Walk us through the course.
Yeah, so for Formula Drift, at the start chicane, the lead driver has to go through the chicane without hitting the cones. Otherwise, you get a strike, 3 strikes, and you're pretty much out of that run. But as you go through the chicane, we're shifting through first gear, second gear, in my case third, all the way up to fourth, until I do a small feint into entry, drag the handbrake a little bit, and just aim straight into outer zone 1. You kind of want to get close enough that your rear bumper barely grazes the wall at outer zone 1. Have a very aggressive flick to transition into outer zone 2, right under the Long Beach City College Bridge, and then aim your car towards the judges stand to outer zone 3, again grazing the wall there, and then set you up for the final corner, the touch and go. Just barely hit the touch and go with your rear bumper, and then set you up for the one and only inside clip right before the finish line.
So taking a look at the bracket here, obviously you've done a competition with a number of these competitors. This is a random draw bracket, so we don't have to do qualifying. What are some of the expectations for you? You know some of these drivers, obviously they're trying to make it to the finals on both weekends, but you never know who you're going to go up against in that first grade 8 battle.
You don't. Actually, there's a lot of talented drivers on this list right here. In fact, I just did battle with Rome and Forrest last weekend, and
that's right.
I gotta say, I mean, this year the talent is just insane. You gotta be on your toes at all times. You really have no room for error. So I think everyone here will have a taste of how just insane Formula Drift battles are going to be.
Now, what will happen from, say, daytime to nighttime in terms of track temperatures, and what kind of effect might that have on vehicle preparation?
Well, that's the thing. Track conditions change lap after lap, even during the day. So once the temperatures begin to drop, I mean, grip conditions change. Some tracks actually get grippier as temps drop, so you just never know. I mean, these guys only had 2 or 3 practice runs earlier, and they were going to have to figure it out in those 3 laps.
All right, Ken. Well, it's great to have you here and along for the ride. This is going to be our first battle up. We'll take a quick break, set the stage, and come back for the very first battle of Super Drift.
NTK is more than just high ignitability spark plugs and precision sensors. They're about growing the car community. This is why they're introducing Shop Squad, an automotive meeting place for shop owners, service writers, technicians, students, and industry professionals to come together and share knowledge and encourage self-growth. Enrolling is free, and you have access to on-demand training, digital newsletters, product launch information, and more. Woo!
Drifting is not just a sport, it's culture, it's in our blood.
It's a fine line that you have to walk. You have to be able to adapt on the fly and be able to drive on your instinct.
Tires are what we live and breathe in Formula D. We couldn't do this without them.
Is there an argument about whether pumice or walnut shell is the best abrasive in your hand cleaner? Not anymore. Fast Orange Premium brings the two abrasives together in one great heavy-duty hand cleaner that includes advanced skin protection. It's our best hand cleaner ever, and that's why we simply named it Premium. Fast Orange. We know a few things about cleaning hands.
All right, welcome back here to the streets of Long Beach for the Super Drift event. I'm Ryan Sage alongside Ken Gushi, and we are about to get things underway with our very first battle, Rome Charpentier and Robert Thorne. Now, Ken, when your name is called, when it's time to go up there, what is the level of anticipation, and how do you prepare as a driver?
I mean, to be quite honest with you, I'm actually pretty nervous, you know, sitting in that driver's seat. But as soon as those 5 lights go down and drop and we're ready to just go out there and do battle, I mean, it's all about, you know, kill mode and just putting on the best possible show out there for fans.
Yeah, I can imagine that there's, you know, you probably lock in at some point. You know, last week when you started making it through competition, getting really, really far, what was there something that changed in kind of like the mental space as you're like, oh my gosh, I got past 32, I'm past 16, I'm into grade 8, I'm in the final 4. Like, does the things change for you?
I mean, even before that, having this Long Beach venue as the very first round of Formula Drift is, as you can imagine, it's scary. There's walls on both sides, brand new builds, you know, brand new cars, and you're throwing your car sideways towards a wall, and you know, there's really no room for error. So starting from the very first run of practice, your nerves are definitely high. But as soon as, you know, we start going through the practice runs, through the battles, those nerves start to go kind of mellow out, and you find your groove and your rhythm, and that's kind of where you take it to higher finishes in the battles.
Have you wrecked here before?
I haven't had a bad wreck, but I've come close.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it's not fun.
Where was it at? What part of the track?
It was actually right before the inside clip, and this was when I was driving for a whole different manufacturer before my Toyota days. And it was
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, against Samuel Hubinet. I ended up looping it right before inside clip 1 and almost putting it into the wall.
Yeah, so a lot of people that follow your career will certainly know, that those that are new to the sport may not. You have been around for every single event in the history of now 21 years. And you can see the fans out there obviously loving you and appreciate what the dedication that you've had to the sport. What's it like to, you know, to be a young guy but still be in the sport for so long?
I mean, I'll tell you what, Formula Drift is all I know. I mean, I've been in for 21 years, and like you said, I have never missed an event. And that alone should tell you how much I love the sport and the series. I mean, as you can see, the fans are also excited, and we're all here for the same reason, the love of drifting.
Well, let's make it happen. Here we go. First battle of the night. Rome Charpentier and Robert Thorne getting things underway here in the Grade 8. As soon as those red lights drop, the drivers will be off. It'll be 2 laps consecutive, switching positions, 3 judges judging, Ken Gushi, Daijiro Yoshihara, and Vernon Zvandeveld. Here we go, Rome. Nice initiation there, right back on throttle, snapping into it, heading out to that first outside zone, glazing the wall, and then back to the other side. Robert Thorne trying to make up some pace here as we got big angle there. Out front by Rome Charpentier, and tucking up on the inside, and that last second there is Robert Thorne.
Wow.
So we see a lead from Rome Charpentier and a chase from Robert Thorne. What was the keys that you saw on that one, Ken?
Wow, okay, Rome came to party for sure. If you saw his initiation, it was a quick flick into initiation, really close to the wall at outer zone 1, and a nice aggressive flick towards outer zone 2. I mean, he pretty much nailed all the marks and gave Robert the perfect opportunity to chase. Now, with that said, I feel like Robert had, you know, a good opportunity to chase him down, stay close, because, I mean, you can see right there, Rome's run was very clean, a lot of angle there, really good approach into touch and go. Left it a little open at inside clip, giving Robert the opportunity to dive in, but yeah, I mean, that was a very spectacular lead run from Rome. I feel like Robert could have attacked a bit more aggressive, you know, stay a little bit closer from the initiation, but you never know. I mean, there's 2 runs to a battle.
Yeah, so I mean, I've heard a lot of drivers say if you get lost in that first corner, if you lose ground to the lead driver, it's very difficult to make it back up. Is that true?
That is true. I mean, you always want to tell yourself the first turn really sets the rhythm for the rest of the course,
right?
Especially initiation. So let's see how things turn out in this second run.
All right, Robert Thorne taking the lead. Can he battle back against a great lead from Rome Charpentier? Nice little flick there, gets back on throttle. Big smoke line generating, heading out to that first outside zone. A little bit off the wall, but better on outside zone 2. Rome staying in the smoke line. Very consistent in that chase position, not giving any room. Coming up on the inside, and then just barely pulling out towards the end as he got right up in the pocket. Staying in that smoke line all the way through, and these are one and done battles, so the judges have driver A, driver B, or one more time. What did we learn here in run 2?
Wow, I'll tell you what, Robert's car looks like he has a lot of power. I mean, that thing was a smoke machine out there. Really similar initiation to Rome, a nice aggressive flick into initiation. It was a little bit far off the wall at outer zone 1. I feel like Rome did a better job at outer zone 1, but really aggressive flick into outer zone 2, nice and close to outer zone 3. And again, like the first run, Robert went a little wide at the inside clip right before the finish line, giving Rome the opportunity to dive in. Overall, great runs from both of these drivers. But I do have a winner in my mind.
You do have a winner in your mind. All right, I think I kind of see. So it looks like we've got them all scored. All right, let's take it over. Who's it going to be, Robert Thorne or Rome Charpentier in the first battle of the Great 8? And it is Rome Charpentier moving on.
Great job to both of these drivers, though. Really aggressive right from the start of battles.
That was a good one to start for sure. Our next battle up was a driver we saw absent from his vehicle during the opening ceremonies, Connor O'Sullivan and Jonathan Hurst. We'll see if that's the next battle that is getting warmed up now. Once again, the promoters and the security here are asking us to make sure you guys clear those aisleways. They do not want us to move on until the aisleways are cleared, and they would prefer not to send security. So please help us out.
Funny fact, these two are actually teammates.
What was that, Ken?
These guys are actually teammates.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's another, I guess, team battle.
So generally, the higher qualified driver or ranked driver would be going first. In this case, Connor O'Sullivan pulled a 4, Jonathan Hurst pulled a 5. We gotta send these guys, or they're gonna have to do a burnout. We can't ice these guys. Just trying to.
All right, guys, a little bit of a holdup.
Drivers are going to have to re-scrub. Security is taking it very serious with the aisleways. We apologize, but once that happens and the drivers sit at the line for a certain period of time, the tires do get a little bit cold and they do need to be re-scrubbed. Particularly, I would imagine, Ken, because it is a colder night, you want to have as much grip in the tires as you possibly can.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the last thing we want is to warm up our tires and then get to the start line only to wait another few minutes.
Let's go. Guys, we have to go. Yep, they really want us to move, guys. They are honestly stopping the show because that there are people still in the aisleway. It's out of our hands. But please, can we send them?
Can I go to a quick promo?
What? Grandstand 16, help us out. They're not going to let us go until you guys clear the aisleways out.
The show will go on if you guys can clear out the aisleways. Let's help each other out.
This is definitely a first.
I know we all want to see it, but we got to keep those aisles clear.
It's a full fucking house, everybody!
Thank you very much. That'll help us get the show restarted. They are honestly not allowing the starter to let the guys leave the line, so we really need your help there. You want me to go to a commercial? All right, we're going to make one last attempt at clearing the aisleway, guys. We'll take a quick commercial break, come right back. Clear the aisleway so we can start the show, please.
Welcome out to Road Atlanta. This is round 2 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. 7! Here we go. Yo, let's go. Looking strong up front. Boom. Oh, boy. Guess what? Old Captain Clutch Kick is back. How awesome is this? Banging doors, getting aggressive. Wow. Christoph making his presence felt. Big initiation there for Frederick Osborne. That was proper execution. Whoa, are you kidding me? Look at that.
Oswald starts to walk him.
James Dean open the window of opportunity here for Frederick Oswald. James Dean gets the win. That was awesome.
The final touch to my dream build is a Sony Mobile ES system. Time to cruise with Sony Mobile ES.
On race day, when we want to show everyone out there who's the best,
Here we go, Frederick Oswald.
we really need to be focused. I tell myself, I got this, I'm the best there is.
The star is Frederick Oswald.
looking for what comes next, for that moment when everything finally...
1 minute!
Whichever path you choose, it starts here.
All right. Thankfully, it looks like we've solved that very, I would say, tense problem.
That was a first.
Yeah, that's definitely a first. We'll reburn these guys out, scrub them again, get going, and get this battle underway. We appreciate you guys working with us. I've never had that before, but obviously there was a safety concern there, and the officials did not want to allow us to move forward, and we were basically floating in water, just hanging out. But it's important to be safe for these events. But I think, Ken, overall, hopefully that doesn't mess with the psychology of the drivers. Let's get this run one underway here. Connor O'Sullivan, his first real competition lap out here against Jonathan Hurst. Hurst has probably got to be careful here. He may not know exactly how Connor's going to run on this track. Hurst, and he spins in front of Connor. Excuse me, Connor spins in front of Hurst.
I want to say that was Sully's probably third or fourth lap ever on this venue. And like you said, it's his first competition lap, so you really don't know what to expect. And if you guys notice, the temps are dropping significantly, which means the track conditions are changing by the second.
Well, he did sustain some front damage there. He does have a competition timeout if you'd like to use that, or he may also bow out of competition. Your initial instinct, obviously it looked like he was losing traction, spinning out. Is there anything else that you noticed that was relevant there?
I mean, again, it just comes down to the changing track conditions, especially where there's rubber. The grip level's constantly changing. And again, like I mentioned earlier, these two work closely together. They pit out of the same trailer. They're always together. They're helping each other out. They're pretty much teammates. And so I'm sure in their mind, they wanted to throw on a good battle for the fans.
Break down what we're seeing here.
Yeah, you can see that Connor probably wanted to throw it out a bit wider to outer zone 1, but the track probably gripped up in these conditions. And then again, he just over-rotated the car after the transition into outer zone 2. Right here, you can see the car is just going to snap as soon as he gets on throttle. There you go. There's a rotation right there. And Jonathan really had nowhere to go but to spin or rotate behind him, and that was probably the best way to avoid a major collision.
Right, damage also to your vehicle as well. If you have a driver like Hurst who's incredibly fast, aggressive, loves to chase super close, and perhaps you don't know exactly how even a driver that you drive with on other courses is going to react on this, like, is it better to stay back and close it down towards the end? Is it better to, adjust your setup? Like, what would you recommend overall?
Well, the thing about competitive drifting is you never know when these drivers will pull off an amazing run, and you always have to assume they're going to give it their 100% best. And I'm sure Jonathan, being the aggressive driver that he is, he didn't want to give any room to Connor. He doesn't want to risk getting gapped.
Right.
So you kind of just have to put it out there and trust the lead driver no matter where he goes. And we always tell ourselves, if you go into the wall, we're coming into the wall with you. And that's exactly what we saw right now. So unfortunately for Connor, it looks like he sustained some front-end damage, but that's also part of the sport.
Well, last weekend, Ken, we got to celebrate another athlete going into the Formula Drift Hall of Fame. His name is Tanner Foust. We're going to show you that piece real quick. We'll get Connor off track. Connor, great job out there, bud. We'll see you whether or not you do a competition timeout or whether you bow out for tomorrow. Your call totally. And we'll throw to this piece from Hall of Fame inductee Tanner Foust. Ooh.
like that now? Do you want more? Yeah, I get hype, yeah, I get raw. To the rhythm down on the dance floor. Do you like that now? Do you want more? Yeah, I get hype, yeah, I get raw. Shout to the north side, shout to the south, east to the west, yeah, we're going out. Do you like that now? Do you want more? Yeah, I get hype, yeah, I get 4, 3, 2, 1. Shout to the north side, shout to the south. Step to the rhythm down on the dance floor. Do you like that now? Do you want more? Yeah, I get hype, yeah, I get raw. Shout to the north side, shout to the south, east to the west, yeah, we're going out. If you're in town, then give me a shout. Are you on that? To the north side, shout to the south. Step to the rhythm down on the dance floor. Do you like that now? Do you want more? Yeah, I get hype, yeah, I get raw. Shout to the north side, shout to the south, east to the west, yeah, we're going out. If you're in town, then give me a shout. Are you on that? Take it back to your house.
Oh yeah, you know who that was right there? Charlotte DeWitt, you know her? She's kind of a like techno DJ, played at Coachella.
Right, the DJ.
Yeah. She was out here on media day, and
how did Dylan get that gig? That's kind of cool.
They reached out to us because her track is speed centric, motorsport centric.
Okay. I like that.
And I know her from like that scene.
Right, because you're a DJ yourself.
It's not 100% like my total style of music, but she's a really fun and awesome DJ to watch. So Jonathan Hurst, Byron, Connor O'Sullivan going out of competition. This will lock him into the Final Four. Woo! We'll lay back.
Totally done a laid back run, but that was nothing close to laid back. He pretty much hung it out all to the walls.
How well do you get to know each of the drivers in the series as new guys come in over the years? There's been tons of generations. Obviously, we saw the piece with Tanner. You know Reese and Sam. Like, what about guys like Jonathan and Rome and some of the new guys coming in?
I mean, you can only imagine being in the sport for 21 years. You start to befriend all the drivers, and at some point you get to do battle with them, talk about the battles, results, and just, have fun. So ultimately, it's about just knowing your competition. Of course, we're friendly off the track, but on track, we pretty much want to rip each other's heads off.
Do you have do you have like a crew that you kind of run with, in terms of drivers? Like, this is who I sit next to in the drivers' meetings, and
I mean, we do have a self-established J corner with all
the
Japanese
corner,
drivers. Dai used to be in it, but now he's a retired driver. He's also up here today as one of our judges, so it's nice to have Dai back.
All right, our next battle up, Forrest Wang and Daniel Stuke. Stuke, first time here out at Super Drift, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but Forrest Wang has done this many years, has had a lot of success here. He's out front against Stuke. Nice little snap there. Stuke trying to get in the pocket. Trying to close the door as he gets out there to the wall is Forrest Wang. Both sides covered pretty well. Stuke in the smoke line, trying to keep the proximity on. Oh, he straightens out in the chase position. Wow. Definitely have an overall impact. Would that be something that you would consider, independent? Looked like Forrest was doing what he needed to do in that area. Stuke just lost the front end.
And that is why we call him the Style King. I mean, if you see Forrest's initiation right from the start, he threw in a ton of angle towards outer zone 1. I mean, he was pretty much 90 degrees to outer zone 1. You watch right here, initiates, throws it right to the wall. Right up to outer zone 2, good flick, a lot of angle, slight handbrake pull towards outer zone 3, but just a great lead run, giving Stuke an opportunity for a clean chase. Unfortunately, he did straighten out at the touch and go, which should give the advantage to Forrest.
One of the things that we saw with Forrest over the years, back many years, he used to generate so much wheel speed and the smoke would be so thick, but he was a little bit slower. And then he it almost felt like he was engineering the car to still have that smooth, silky, really smoky style, but then he added the grip level and the speed to it.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't want to give up his style for sure. You can tell that he's just throwing a lot of angle out there, but you're right, he has increased his overall speed throughout the track, which makes it difficult for the chase if you don't really know what to, if you really don't know what to anticipate if he's going to be slow with a lot of angle or fast with shallow angle. But
well, let's see if Stuke can battle back here. Nice little flick, gets that smoke line going. Forrest Wang staying on the inside, trying to be patient, looking for an opportunity to attack here. Up in the pocket, moving back around in front of Grandstand 18, switching back around. Forrest Wang, a few more feet, he might have it locked up.
Nice.
Great job pushing through there as Daniel Stuke comes out, a really solid lead. But perhaps, Ken, with the mistake in the chase, it might be too much, as the judges will now render their result, and we'll have 3 of 4 drivers moving on into the final 4.
You're right. I mean, if you even compare the lead to lead, Forrest was just overall much closer to all the outer zones. Although Stuke did have a clean lead, Forrest really didn't have to push that hard on the chase, but he was right on Stuke's door from the start to inside clip 1. If we can watch this replay right here, Stuke could have got a little bit closer towards outer zone 1. I feel like Forrest was a bit deeper there. Similar flick into outer zone 2. And you can see just Forrest just targeting Stuke's door. Playing it really smart, I see. Just trying to keep it clean. I'm sure he's aware of Stuke's small mistake in his chase.
That's got to be a very veteran thing that develops over the years, is knowing, particularly if you've had a certain set of judges for a while, knowing what their tendencies are and saying, you know what, I see this guy made a mistake at this level. I need to push to this level in order to give myself a higher probability to win.
Absolutely, but not to the point where you get dinged for an active chase, because during competition, if you play it too easy in the chase, knowing that your opponent had a mistake in the first run, the judges can ding you for an active chase.
Well, here we go. As predicted, Forrest Wang gets the win. Daniel Stuke will fight another day. A great job of driving from him. Awesome out here at Super Drift. And he will be doing battle tomorrow. But for now, Forrest Wang moves on. He's going to face the winner of this next battle. Kohl versus Kyle Mohan, the hometown boy, versus Kohl, who is doing double, triple, quadruple duty at a lot of these Formula Drift events.
Here we go.
And he is underway, getting things started. Little hesitation there on initiation, but Kyle Mohan looking for an opportunity to attack as Kohl comes in the center line, then moves out deeper to outside zone 2. Headed out to outside zone 3. Car is much settled now, trying to manage the grip, coming around to this last inside clip. Mohan, and Stuke, the front end washes out.
Oh, that was Casey.
Excuse me, yeah, Casey. What happened there, Ken, from what you can see?
Definitely something mechanical. I mean, he had a really good approach into inside clip number 1. I mean, overall, his run was good. A little shallow off of outer zone 1, but as soon as he transitioned towards outer zone 2, I mean, he was really close to the wall right here. That's a really good approach. Throwing it to outer zone 3, and then looking for touch and go, and then this is where the mistake happened. Seems like his steering went opposite lock and really had no steering.
Yeah,
so it looks like it binded up.
I've spent a lot of time speaking to Casey over the years. He is one of the smartest people in the sport that I've spoken to about technical setup and ways to approach competition and things like that. Sometimes in the heat of competition, you just don't know what's going to happen to the car, though, right? The conditions could change. There might be something wrong with the car that you're unaware of, and because you guys are beating on these cars so crazily.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, mechanical problems are the last thing we want during competition, especially when you only have one chance to prove yourself. Yeah, unfortunately, fortunately for Casey, there's 2 runs to a battle, so we'll see how Kyle does in his lead.
Well, this is this is an important one because the incomplete, so to speak, was in the chase from Casey.
Well, in his lead.
I mean, excuse me, in his lead. And so now he's going to the chase. He's got to put the pressure on Kyle Mohan.
Right, he's pretty much got to pray that Kyle makes a mistake, but Kyle's also a veteran driver. He knows how to keep it clean, play it smart.
And he's starting to do that right out of the gate. Straight line approach on initiation. Moving more in the center part of the course. Casey attacking here. He is trying to keep the pressure on. Getting closer and closer to Kyle Mohan. A couple inches there towards the end. Just comes up on the inside clip. Looks like Kyle Mohan gets through cleanly.
Yeah, that was a smart move by Kyle. Just hitting all the marks where necessary. Doesn't have to go overboard. Just keep it clean. And you can tell Casey was just trying to give the best show possible to the fans, knowing that he had a huge mistake in his lead. But the lead run from Kyle, not bad at all. Very conservative initiation into outer zone 1. He could have gone a little deeper there in outer zone 1. Smooth flick into outer zone 2. On throttle through outer zone 3, and you can see Casey just trying to be very aggressive on Kyle's door.
When you have that kind of situation, I know you don't incomplete a lot in your career at all, but if you ever have, and you're chasing in the next run, and you know, I just have to put pressure on this guy, like, is there any strategy, tactic, like, what do you do to induce a similar error from the lead driver?
I mean, at that point, you know, you have a huge ding on your first run where you made a mistake. So what I like to tell myself is just give the best show to the fans and play as most aggressive as I can, just to hope that the lead car makes a mistake. I mean, there's really not much you can do.
That's why you are who you are. Give the best show for the fans. Everybody got to love that. All right, let's score it. Let's find out who's going to win here between Kyle Mohan and Casey Kohl. And here we go. Kyle with 2 scored runs, and Casey coming up a little bit short in run number 1. The local boy, Kyle Mohan, moving on into the Final 4.
Representing Long Beach.
Yeah, LBC. You know, the audience here for this weekend, for sure, is a different vibe than our weekend. It is equally as fun, but just different in a kind of a unique way. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I have, but I have seen a lot of Formula Drift merch. Apparel.
That's one of my favorite things, is like walking through an airport or somewhere where there's nothing about drifting going on and seeing it like, okay, cool. All right, Rome Charpentier and Jonathan Hurst, your first battle up in the Final 4, followed by Forrest Wang and Kyle Mohan. The winners of those battles will be in the finals to find out who the champion is going to be here tonight at Super Drift. So when we come back, we will set the stage for the Final 4 for these drivers coming out here to give you a tremendous show here under the stars, under the lights in downtown Long Beach.
tires just rip.
NGK and NTK is more than just high ignitability spark plugs and precision sensors. They're about growing the car community. This is why they're introducing Shop Squad, an automotive meeting place for shop owners, service writers, technicians, students, and industry professionals to come together and share knowledge and encourage self-growth. Enrolling is free, and you have access to on-demand training, digital newsletters, product launch information, and more. Woo!
Drifting is not just a sport, it's culture, it's in our blood.
It's a fine line that you have to walk. You have to be able to adapt on the fly and be able to drive on your instinct.
Tires are what we live and breathe in Formula D. We couldn't do this without them.
Is there an argument about whether pumice or walnut shell is the best abrasive in your hand cleaner? Not anymore. Fast Orange Premium brings the two abrasives together in one great heavy-duty hand cleaner that includes advanced skin protection. It's our best hand cleaner ever, and that's why we simply named it Premium. Fast Orange. We know a few things about cleaning hands.
All right, finally, Super Drift has come back to Long Beach, and we've got Rome Charpentier and Jonathan Hurst. Now, this is definitely going to be a big battle. We are about to get underway. Red light's going to drop. Two of arguably the most impressive young and up-and-coming drivers in the sport right now going battle in the Final Four. Rome Charpentier, Jonathan Hurst. Rome out. Nice little snap. Jonathan takes that inside line, trying to stay in the pocket here. Moves back as Rome does not get into outside zone 1, nearly hits outside zone 2. And we're already seeing from the get-go after initiation is where a little bit of the wackiness took place. We saw Rome not get out of outside 1, and then we saw Jonathan fall back. This is where I'm so glad I don't have to be a judge, because you're going to have to like assess the situation.
Yeah,
that's not like totally clear at first pass.
That's a tough one because you can't have a good chase without a good lead, and I feel like the track changes so much here that Rome was, basically thrown off at initiation. It gripped up more than anticipated. Unless there was contact at initiation, because Jonathan was very close. So I would like to take another look at the replay at initiation, because judging from the line that Rome took towards outer zone 1, which was extremely shallow, you'd have to imagine something happened. Either he misjudged the grip level or Jonathan hit him at initiation, which took Rome to a shallower line.
And as a judge, you have the ability for driver A, driver B, or you can go shared fault. And if it's a shared fault situation, basically both drivers are equally to blame. It might revert to either the subsequent run or the run that just happened, or whatever the case may be. But either way, it's in the judge's hands as we get these guys ready to go for run number 2. Dripping with anticipation. Oh, there we go. Here we go, Jonathan Hurst taking the lead, blazing down that back straight. Little snap right into it. Little bit better navigation there on outside 1. Rome really gripped up in the chase position. Makes contact with Hurst. And another bit of wildness right in front of grandstand 18. You started to see that materialize, Ken. It started to seem as if something was going to happen. We saw Rome kind of grip up behind him, and then Hurst comes, and this area here, and you should let all the fans know how much rubber there is down in front of 18 right there.
Well, I feel like, first of all, I feel like it was a mechanical issue, probably driveline related by Hurst in the lead. But prior to that, you can see that Rome has straightened out in his transition from outer zone 1 to outer zone 2 in his chase. If you take a look at right here, he straightened out quite a bit, trying to get the car to reinitiate. But as soon as he does, we see problems with Jonathan's car up front, which I think it's drivetrain related. I mean, he's on the limiter. So
that's an interesting situation, because that obviously the run came to a stop. There's an incomplete there. If you go with Jonathan at fault, then you got to look back at the first run. And the first run's a little bit wacky.
Well, it was wacky, but Rome did finish the run. We can't compare lead to lead here in this case, because there are no 2 leads. So now we have to revert back to the first run. And I mean, in this case, it's unfortunately for me, I do have a winner.
Yep. No, it just becomes a question of logic at that point if you've got scored runs and incompletes and where you assign that blame. All right, so I see the judges putting in their scores. This is one of the colder nights that we've had down here, historically speaking. And, last weekend was cold, but it was also wet. So we're seeing some of the effects of that play out. Rome Charpentier, he's the only driver that had That scored run on run number 1 and incomplete by Jonathan Hurst on run number 2. So Ken, is that the best way to describe what took place there?
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I would have loved to see a clean battle from these two, because these two are, like you said, you know, one of the more prominent up-and-coming drivers in the series. They're both very aggressive in the chase, very aggressive in their leads. As you saw earlier from Jonathan's lead run, he was much closer to outer zone 1 right at initiation. So yeah, it's just unfortunate we couldn't see a complete battle, but
now what do you, okay, so just take everything into account that we're seeing. I know that there was probably some drivetrain issues, but I think that it's a fair question or a fair assumption that as it gets colder, the grip is going to change a little bit as well. Are you going back right now saying, hey, what I'm seeing out on track from these other drivers and also what I'm experiencing means I can do X, Y, and Z to the car, or I should do X, Y, and Z to the car?
Well, I mean, that's also what your spotter's there for. Your spotter's watching other drivers' runs and then giving their feedback to you as you wait in line. So then you know what to anticipate as you throw your car into initiation, if it's going to grip up or if it's loose. In this case, I feel like as the temps drop, the track is actually getting grippier in some parts.
Now, who's spotting for you this year?
I have a spotter, Kevin Sanchez from Grady Performance.
Okay, and how much actual discussion do you guys do?
A lot more than you think. I mean, he's constantly watching other competition drivers as well and giving me their feedback.
All right, here we go. Our next battle up, moving along here quickly. Forrest Wang and Kyle Mohan for the last spot here. The only open spot in the finals. Rome Charpentier doing work through Robert Thorne, and now Jonathan Hurst is in the finals. Forrest Wang making his way through Daniel Stuke. Kyle Mohan getting through Casey Kohl, and they will now match up. We're seeing tendencies of what's going down on track, Ken. Drivers having to make adjustments. I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is there a benefit to being the lead driver on the first lap in these conditions?
I mean, as long as you're paying attention to the rest of the competition, then yeah, you really should have an idea of what to expect. So I don't think, you know, there's any wrong way to go about being in the lead, but we'll take a look after this battle. It's 808 versus Long Beach, Hawaii versus Long Beach.
Ooh, okay, here we go. Big battle here. Forrest Wang coming across center course. Nice little snap. Looking good so far. Big smoke line and still getting out to the wall. Not being affected by the conditions at all as Kyle cuts the line on the inside. Forrest Wang unfazed as Mohan comes to the smoke line. Very tight there, but makes his way around that inside clip and surges for that last 120 feet, diving in and still getting around, just nicking that clip, but a great overall solid lead run, even with the conditions in play by Forrest Wang.
It's almost as if these ever-changing track conditions do not affect Forrest at all, because he's been running the same exact line all night, in fact, all weekend. Just so much style and flair to his driving style, a lot of angle everywhere, always on throttle, huge plume of smoke. And I feel like in the chase, Kyle just kind of got lost going from outer zone 3 through the touch and go through inside clip. He's a bit shallow in the chase at outer zone 2, dragging handbrake a little bit there just to extend his line to get to Forrest's door. In the meantime, Forrest up front just, you know, having fun, it seems like.
Yeah, the way we're getting through this, it's just so apparent. Like the way he's able to do 90 degrees to the wall in so many different conditions, and historically doing it over so many years, just kind of shows, you know, how comfortable he's become with this course.
But we know Kyle can do the same. I've seen him do it here. He's very familiar with Long Beach walls. So yeah, let's just hope that we see two clean runs.
Hometown boy trying to take out 808. Can Kyle Mohan do it? We've seen him get on the box before here at this exact event. Here we go, Mohan. A little bit more aggressive initiation this time around, trying to push, trying to get out to that wall, but sparks flying as Mohan is out to outside zone 2. He is putting up a fight, and loses the front end. And Forrest Wang just gets out of the way. Now right now we have Kyle Mohan was 6 and Hurst was 7 or 5, so that would put Hurst in 3rd, I believe.
You're right.
Because Wang was number 2. So that was Kyle's last chance to get on the box. He came very, very close. Why don't you just take us through this run real quick?
Yeah, I'm sure, knowing what you saw with Forrest in the lead as a chase driver, and when you go into the lead, you kind of want to better the lead's angle. So
look at that thing.
You can tell Kyle was just trying to throw massive angle at outer zone 3, and yeah, it just seemed like the car couldn't really hang at that angle and rotated it. So
we've seen that in that area twice. Is that an area where, if the conditions are such and you come through at a certain speed with a certain angle, that it's more likely to happen than, say, like in the hairpin?
Well, no, the closer you get to the wall, there's more tire debris, so it's actually looser right at the outer zone wall. And you can only assume that Kyle got his rear tire on the debris and yeah, just sort of looped it. But Forrest, you can tell he was playing smart in his chase, just taking the car wherever Kyle was going. So yeah, great job to both of these drivers.
Great job and congratulations to Forrest Wang. Moving on into the finals, he will take on Rome Charpentier. We will get a fresh set of tires for Forrest Wang, and our final is set.
Is it just me, or do I feel like we've seen this final battle before?
I've seen this before, yeah. Well, these, when we put together the program for this, there's always guys that jump at it right away because they love this. It's such a cool weekend. I mean, the Long Beach Grand Prix is one of the most amazing events in Southern California, and then to add this element to it, I think some of the guys just love being here and being around the ambiance.
Yep.
All right. Well, if you're interested in checking out more Formula Drift, here is the season-long schedule. The next time we'll be in Southern California will be at the end of the season at Irwindale Speedway, October 18th and 19th. But up next, Road Atlanta.
My favorite track.
Is that your favorite track?
It is, absolutely.
Okay. All right, good. Well, we're going to your favorite track. Yeah, I remember distinctly you getting a second place there in 2000. Let me do this.
All right.
15.
Correct. Yeah, after a very long dry spell.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, the final moments here. Ryan Sage and Ken Gucci up in the booth. Daijiro Yoshihara and Vernon van de Velde, your judges. The final, Rome Charpentier and Forrest Wang.
Welcome out to Road Atlanta. This is round 2 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Here we go. Yo, let's go. Now he's looking strong up front. Boom. Oh boy. Guess what? Old Captain Clutch Kick is back. How awesome is this? Banging doors, getting aggressive. Wow. Christoph making his presence felt. Big initiation there for Frederick Osborne. That was proper execution. Whoa, are you kidding me? Look at that.
Oswald starts to walk him.
James Dean opened the window of opportunity here for Frederick Osborne. James Dean gets the win. That was awesome.
The final touch to my dream build is a Sony Mobile ES system. Time to cruise with Sony Mobile ES.
On race day, when we want to show everyone out there who's the best,
Here we go, Frederick Osborne.
we really need to be focused. I tell myself, I got this, I'm the best there is.
The star is Frederick Osborne.
Looking for what comes next? For that moment when everything finally...
1 minute!
Whichever path you choose, it starts here.
Welcome back here to the streets of Long Beach. We are rounding the corner to the end here, Ken, and we've got a great battle on our hands. You know both of these drivers, you know what they're capable of. Charpentier and Forrest Wang.
Yeah, we saw these two doing a few practice runs earlier, switching the lead and chase, and I mean, that was already just a preview to what we're about to see in the finals, but two very aggressive, very smart, calculated drivers. And yeah, I think it's just going to be one amazing final battle that we're about to witness here.
You mentioned about spotters and help and understanding what your other competitors doing. Do you have notes on Forrest and Rome?
Yeah, well, I saw both of these guys in battle last week, but we all know Forrest is style king. I mean, he's going to throw as much angle as he can, wherever he can, and at the same time try to go as fast as he can. So you just have to anticipate where that angle is going to come, where he's going to attack. And Rome is a very calculated driver. I mean, he's very, he's at every outer zone on the wall, millimeters away. Unfortunately, last week when the rain came, he was just too deep into the outer zone and put his car into the wall. But for Rome, this is actually a new competition car. Last year, he was an E36, and that same chassis is now being driven by Irish Drift champion from DMEC, Connor.
Right.
So this new BMW is a new car for him, and he's doing quite well in it. So props to him.
He looks amazing. I think it's probably a slightly shorter wheelbase, and probably going to feel relatively similar. From what I understand, from what I've heard him talk about, trying to mimic the way that the setup feels from one car to the next is kind of what they were going for there, to accommodate his driving style.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whatever he's driving, his driving style is always very clean, smart, and calculated. And then we have the style king Forrest in the chase here. So yeah, this is going to be one exciting battle for sure.
Well, they're chasing you down right now in the regular championship, Ken. 4th place right now in the overall pro championship. But here tonight, somebody's going to stand on top of the box as Charpentier. Nice big flick there. Forrest Wang eyeing up an opportunity to get in the pocket, coming through the smoke line. Good movement there by Rome, flying through outside zone 3, but here comes Forrest Wang wrapping around through the smoke line, and one final push there for Forrest Wang and Charpentier.
That was clean.
That was a great way to kick off the finals.
That was clean for sure. You can tell Rome could have gone a little bit deeper into the outer zones. Forrest was just trying to stay where Rome was going, targeting his the side of his car pretty much at every single zone. Yeah, I mean, he could have attacked a little bit more closer to Rome, I feel like, but you can tell that he's just playing smart. I mean, we do have another day of competition tomorrow, so they're not trying to, obviously annihilate the cars, but that's a lot of angle right there out of zone 3 coming from Rome in the lead. Really clean transition into the touch and go through inside clip number 1.
Now, how much time do you have, once you know a driver, say, is maybe not pushing out to the wall all the way to its entirety, how much time do you have to react knowing that you just initiated behind them?
I mean, less than fractions of a second. You really have to, adapt to the lead car, whatever he's doing, and anticipate the moves that he's about to make. But if I were in Rome's shoes right now, I would have to assume that when Forrest goes into the lead, he's going to be completely pitched sideways on the wall. So I guess we'll see how Forrest does in the lead. Rome's gonna have to do a very aggressive chase.
All right, well, here we go. Last battle of the night, or not, just in case. Could be a one more time. Forrest Wang taking the lead. Big angle out to outside zone 1.
That's exactly what I said.
And he is doing the job, but you can see Rome Charpentier does not want to let him get away. Pushing the pace, super close here towards the end, right up in the pocket. And that was a great way to reel back Forrest towards the end.
Wow. And I've been talking about Forrest's lead runs all night, and he's been super consistent at each outer zone, right on the wall from initiation, a lot of angle. Ooh, this is gonna be a tough one. But again, you can't have a clean chase without a clean lead, and that lead run from Forrest was probably the best lead run of the night that I've seen so far tonight.
Walk us through what stood out for you, because you got right to the edge.
Yeah, right from initiation, Forrest was very aggressive with the flick entry and shot it straight to outer zone 1. Great glazing a bumper from outside zone 1, transitioning to outside zone 2. Clean flick into touch and go through inside clip number 1, which gave Rome a great opportunity to have a clean chase. So really good proximity at outer zone 3. You can see Rome targeting the transition to touch and go. Really good aggressive approach to Forrest door at inside clip number 1.
Well, Ken, we do have a winner, and it is unanimous. All 3 judges in agreement. Let's bring these guys out.
Wow, that was a nice,
great way to end.
That was a great battle, great final for sure.
No dispute for the judges here tonight across the board.
Oh my God, it's cold up here.
It is very cold up here. Do we know, is Jonathan Hurst coming out? Is it? Okay. We'll let Jonathan Hurst get out here to join the celebration. There he is. Ladies and gentlemen, on the right-hand side of 18, you can see Jonathan Hurst making his way out. He is 3rd place here tonight. And your winner, and you'll know who gets 2nd place. After a great example of driving, we want him to get out the car. We want the winner to get out of his green car. The winner of Super Drift Day 1, ladies and gentlemen, Forrest Wang! Woo! And in 2nd place, a great job overall, very impressive as he continues to just blow our minds, Rome Charpentier. We'll have a champagne celebration and a podium celebration down on track. That is our show for day 1. Ken, thank you so much for being a part of this and being here this weekend. It's been a lot of fun to be in the booth with you. And thank you to all the fans for helping us clear the aisleways. I know that was very, very difficult, but we were very happy that everybody kept it safe.
Well, we have another day of competition tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, approximately the same bat time, 6:45 here under the lights once again. For Ryan Sage, for Ken Gushi, for Daijiro Yoshihara, for Vernon Vandevelde, and all the staff of Formula Drift, the Long Beach Grand Prix, the city of Long Beach. Thank you guys, and good night.